warm welcome. You're watching Gravitas with me, Raisha Saigal. On the show tonight, we will tell you how the Pentagon has exposed Trump's bunker buster Bluster, with Trump asserting that the US strikes obliterated Iran's nuclear program and adding that Iran was not able to move any nuclear material. However, the Pentagon paints a different picture. It says that strikes had only set the country's nuclear program back by a few months. Also on the show, leaders of NATO's all 32 member states have agreed to spend 5% of the GDP by 2035. We will get you the key highlights of the NATO summit, which just wrapped up in The Hague. Finally on the show, India returns to human space flight after 4 decades, with Indian Air Force pilot Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla becoming the first Indian to head to the International Space Station as a part of the Axiom 4 mission. All that and a lot more lined up for you on the show tonight. Let's get you started. Our top focus in Gravitas. A leaked Pentagon report has directly challenged and contradicted US President Donald Trump's repeated claims that Iran's nuclear facilities were completely obliterated by American strikes under Operation Midnight Hammer. Rather, the intelligence assessment claims that the strikes have only set Iran's nuclear program back by just a few months. The report has kicked off a lot of controversy, with Trump, his administration, the White House and Israel pushing back against it. At the ongoing NATO summit, Trump said Iran was not able to move any nuclear material because they were hit hard, adding that none of Iran's uranium is missing. Trump has also said that US will engage in talks with Iran next week.
We're going to talk to them next week with Iran. We may settle an agreement. To me, I don't think it's unnecessary. I mean, they had a war, they fought, now they go back to the world. I don't care about it. You worry about that.
Now, the report released by the Defense Intelligence Agency, which is Pentagon's intelligence arm, is based on a battle damage assessment conducted by the US Central Command after the US strikes on Iran. The report further states that despite the US dropping over a dozen bombs, including bunker buster bombs on Iran's 3 main nuclear sites, the centrifuges and highly enriched uranium at the sites are largely intact. The Pentagon report also says that the strikes sealed off entrances to some facilities, but they did not destroy the key underground nuclear facilities. The DIA assessment reportedly estimates that Iran's nuclear program has been delayed by less than 6 months. So, in a nutshell, it means that Tehran retains the material needed to potentially resume its nuclear program with minimal delay. And yesterday, the head of Iran's Atomic Energy Organization said that Iran had taken what it called necessary measures to ensure that the nuclear program continues, further stating that contingency plans are already in place to restart the nuclear facilities in Iran. And regarding the leaked Pentagon document, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt did not deny its existence, but criticized the leak, labeling the intelligence as flat out wrong, adding that the document was leaked despite being classified as top secret. Now, at the NATO summit, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth dismissed the leaked report's credibility, describing it as initial. And just a few hours earlier, the White House shared a statement from Israel's Atomic Energy Commission claiming that Iran's underground Fordo nuclear site is now, and I'm quoting here, inoperable. Further adding that, according to its assessment, the American and Israeli strikes on Iran's nuclear sites have set back Iran's ability to develop nuclear weapons, and I'm quoting again, by many years. In a series of posts on social media, Israeli Prime Minister's office also released the same statements. While Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Bakai also said that Iran's nuclear sites were damaged in US and Israeli strikes. Take a listen.
Yes, our nuclear installations have been badly damaged, that's for sure, because it has come under repeated attacks by Israeli and American aggressors.
Now, during the NATO summit, Trump said that the US and Iran, in his words, were getting along very well, and rather, he wanted to see Iran get back in shape.
I think we'll end up having somewhat of a relationship with Iran. I see it. Look, I've had a relationship over the last 4 days. They agreed to the ceasefire. And it was a very equal agreement. They both said, that's enough. They both said it. And we're actually getting along with them very well right now.
Trump also said that Israel was severely hit by Iran's ballistic missiles.
Israel got hit very hard, especially the last couple of days. Israel was hit really hard. Those ballistic missiles, boy, they took out a lot of buildings.
And yesterday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu hailed the Israeli military campaign against Iran as a historic and generational victory, further asserting that Iran's nuclear threat had been neutralized. But today, Israel's own military cast doubts on that certainty, with the IDF stating that it is still early to assess the damage caused to Iran's nuclear sites.
It is still early to assess the results of the operation. We are investigating and examining the results of our strikes on the entire system. This puzzle, as I called it in the past, the various components of the nuclear program, and more.
So what was touted as a crushing blow to Iran's nuclear capabilities by both Trump and Netanyahu is now under serious scrutiny, not by Iran or any of its adversaries, but by institutions within their own respective countries. The war is over. Israel is claiming historic victory. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that the Iranian nuclear program sent, and I'm quoting here, down the drains. Meanwhile, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian says that the Iranian armed forces dealt severe historic punishment to Israel. But for now, while the Israelis are relieved that the missiles have stopped, the Iranians are celebrating victory. Watch our special report, which captures the mood on both the sides, in Israel and in Iran.
Sirens screamed, bombs thundered. And the skies over West Asia turned into fire as Israel and Iran waged 12 days of all-out war. Israeli jets roared over Tehran, unleashing wave after wave of precision-guided munitions on Iran's nuclear and military sites. But Iran was no easy foe. It answered with fury, launching salvos that punched through Israel's famed missile defense shield, pounding Tel Aviv, Haifa and Beersheba. The devastation was brutal. Residential towers shattered, emergency crews digging for survivors, and both nations' populations living in dread. This was no one-sided fight. Israel faced not Hamas or Hezbollah, but a hardened, resolute Iran, an adversary that would not be cowed. It was a high-intensity, high-decibel war. The stakes were existential for both sides. Yet as the guns fell silent, the mood on the streets of Tehran was electric. Thousands surged into Revolution Square, waving flags and chanting victory slogans. For many Iranians, it was a moment of pride and relief, a break from the terror of daily bombardment and the hope that the worst was over. The scars are still raw, with families mourning the dead and communities facing the daunting task of rebuilding shattered homes and infrastructure.
I'm completely against war. War is the worst thing for the people, more. Why should it be this way? I just want to live my life. After 70 years of living and 45 years of marriage,
nobody would be happy to see war between two countries or two individuals. It was a terrible experience. We were in a very bad situation. The war was imposed on our country. But the situation improved as the war continued.
In Israel, the relief is palpable but bittersweet. Families, many displaced from their homes, are tentatively returning to scenes of devastation. The lingering smell of smoke and the deep emotional scars of relentless bombardment are a stark reminder of the conflict's brutal toll.
Finally, we can sleep peacefully. We feel better, less worried for the kids, for the family, and I hope it stays that way. That's the most important.
I hope that the agreement, now the ceasefire with Iran, I think Gaza should be the part of it because it's all connected. They was part of it. But actually we don't know what's going on in the closed room, so we hope for the best.
The ceasefire holds for now. Both sides claim victory. But both Israel and Iran know the costs. The war has changed the calculus in the region forever. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
The ceasefire may have taken effect yesterday, but make no mistake, the weapons remain ready. Iran's most terrifying missile just touched the edge of space, and the world is still catching its breath. Our next report takes a look at the most powerful weapon used by Iranians in this 12-day war with Israel.
The plume pierced the heavens like a flaming sword as it climbed through Earth's atmospheric layers. This wasn't just another missile launch. This was Iran unveiling its most powerful weapon. The Sejil, a weapon so advanced it brushes the boundaries of outer space before delivering annihilation. With a two-stage booster system and a range of over 2,000 kilometers, the Sejil can strike Israel, US bases in West Asia. Iran's reach now stretches into parts of southern Europe. The missile also carries a heavy payload of 700 kg and travels at speed stopping Mach 5. It's the speed faster than sound itself that makes these hypersonic missiles so dangerous. The Sejil renders traditional missile defense systems obsolete. Enemy radars detect it seconds before impact, leaving military commanders helpless spectators to their own destruction. The solid fuel propulsion system eliminates traditional launch preparations. Unlike liquid-fueled missiles requiring hours of dangerous fueling procedures, the Sejal launches within minutes of command authorization. This rapid response capability transforms Iran's military doctrine from defensive to devastatingly offensive. Yet the Sejal represents merely one arrow in Iran's expanding quiver in the 12-day war. Iran unleashed Khaybar, which has a range of 2,000 kilometers, and Hajj Qasim with a range of 1,400 kilometers, among the several other missiles it fired over Israel. According to experts, Iran is working on several new cruise missiles designed for stealth penetration, hypersonic glide vehicles. Iran's military-industrial complex operates in shadows, engineering surprises that could reshape modern warfare. Israeli Air Force launched multiple rounds of assaults. Israel's precision strikes destroyed multiple missile launching sites, while Israel's spy agency led several audacious strikes to cripple Iran's military infrastructure. The war between Iran and Israel is no longer just about borders. It's now about supremacy, speed, range, and surprise. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
In a show of unity amid emerging global uncertainty, leaders of NATO's all 32 member states have now agreed to spend 5% of the GDP by 2035. At the end of a two-day summit in The Hague, the alliance also came up with a joint declaration announcing agreements on several key issues. Most notably, US President Donald Trump has sided firmly with the alliance, a visible patch after the differences earlier.
A very historic milestone this week. The NATO allies committed to dramatically increase their defense spending to that 5% of GDP, something that no one really thought possible. And they said, "You did it, sir, you did it." Well, I don't know if I did it, but I think I did. This will be known as the Hague Defense Commitment, which is pretty good, pretty appropriate.
US President Donald Trump, who once questioned the value of NATO, took a victory lap at the summit, hailing the defense spending pledge as a major foreign policy win. "It's a great victory for everybody," that's what Trump said, adding that the increase would help equalize contributions among members. All the member states have agreed to spend 5% of GDP on defense by 2035. That will be 3% higher than the current 2%, a move that the US President Donald Trump has been pressing for since his first term. Trump had earlier threatened to move away from the alliance on this very issue. Now, the declaration is seen as an effort to keep the US close to NATO. Mark Rutte has pulled out all the stops to keep Trump on side for what could have been a tricky summit.
Fighting each other, they've had it. They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. You know, they fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes, then it's easier to stop them.
And then Daddy has to sometimes use strong language.
You have to use strong language. Every once in a while you have to use a certain word.
NATO allies also asserted their ironclad commitment to Article 5. It's the foundational pledge of the transatlantic alliance that says an attack on one NATO member is an attack on all NATO members. US President also clarified his position on Article 5. Take a listen.
Mr. President, you said you would clarify your stance on Article 5 just yesterday. Is that something you can explain
I stand
today?
with it. That's why I'm here. If I didn't stand with it, I wouldn't be here.
So you would defend countries even
Well,
if
what
they
did
don't
I
pay
just
up their
say?
fair
Yes,
share?
of course. Why would I be here?
The NATO joint declaration also identified Russia as a long-term threat to the security of Europe and the broader transatlantic region. Crucially, the declaration also reaffirmed NATO's commitments to Ukraine, stating that Kiev's security contributes to the alliance's own security. For the first time, defense support to Ukraine and its industry will be included in NATO defense spending metrics. And well, US President Donald Trump's address at the NATO summit revolved around two key agenda points. Number one, his success at pushing Europe for increasing defense spending to 5%. And second, America's path forward with Iran. Will Denslow reports from The Hague.
And at the end of this summit, we have heard directly from the US president, where he praised himself strongly for this increase in defense spending, saying it is absolutely imperative that NATO's allies come out from under the US umbrella when it comes to collective security. This is, he says, something that he's been pushing for a long time. He says he is disappointed by Spain being one of the holdouts on increasing spending, hoping that they will reaffirm their commitments to hit this 5% target by 2035 that has been laid out in this communique. A big part of Donald Trump's press that he gave behind me here at the NATO summit in The Hague was on Iran. President Trump reiterating his message that he thinks that recent US strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities obliterated them. He says that Iran will no longer be in the nuclear game going forward, and he says he's confident that a ceasefire between Israel and Iran will hold. He says that he hopes to have conversations directly with Tehran in the coming days.
Let's now tell you what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. Indian origin Zohran Mandani has won the Democratic mayoral primary after rival and former Governor Andrew Cuomo conceded defeat. We will also tell you how Russia is witnessing a remarkable increase in the number of Saudi visitors, with arrivals surging by 570%. And finally, we'll tell you about the evolution of crypto in a crisis world, and can crypto really buy happiness?
Four, three, two, one. Ignition and liftoff.
नमस्कार मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, वाटर राइड 41 साल बाद हम वापस अंतरिक्ष में पहुंच गए हैं। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत की ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जर्नी की शुरुआत करें। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
History has been written today, not with ink, but with fire, fuel and faith. India's very own group captain Shubhanshu Shukla has officially taken off to space as a part of the Axiom 4 mission to the International Space Station. The Indian Air Force pilot will be the first Indian to land on the International Space Station as a part of the mission, and India is firmly on the space map again. The mission took off from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket blasted off from the Space Center to applause from across the globe.
T plus 30 seconds into flight with the Axiom 4 crew on board Dragon, headed to the International Space Station. Waiting to hear call-outs from the Falcon 9 engineering team.
Power and telemetry nominal. Stage 1 throttle.
We're throttling down the 9 Merlin engines. We're into the throttle bucket, preparing for max Q.
Group Captain Shukla from India will be the pilot of spacecraft. He's a member of the crew led by Commander Peggy Whitson from the United States of America, Mission Specialist Laszlo Uzanczycki from Poland, and Tibor Kapu from Hungary. Apart from being the first Indian who will set foot on the ISS, Group Captain Shukla is also only the second Indian in history to travel to space. That's since Rakesh Sharma's iconic 1984 mission. In a moment that will echo through the history, Group Captain Shukla, speaking from space, delivered a message that stirred 1 billion hearts back home.
नमस्कार मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, वाटर राइड 40 साल बाद हम वापस अंतरिक्ष में पहुंच गए हैं और कमाल की राइड थी। इस समय हम 7.5 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत के ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है।
Interestingly, Group Captain Shukla is carrying carrot halwa, moong dal halwa and mango nectar with him in his way to the ISS to satiate his cravings for homemade food in space. During the 14-day stay at the International Space Station, the crew will conduct around 60 scientific studies and commercial activities in microgravity, representing 31 countries, which includes the US, India, Poland, Hungary, Saudi Arabia, Brazil and other nations in Europe. Group Captain Shukla will be heading 7 India-led experiments, including work on seeds and human physiology in microgravity. The journey to the ISS will take about 28 hours and the team will spend up to 14 days on board. Hailing the successful launch of the Axiom 4 mission, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said Group Captain Shukla is carrying the wishes, hopes and aspirations of 1.4 billion Indian citizens. The Axiom 4 mission marks a major step for India in commercial space collaboration and underscores India's growing engagement with public-private global partnerships in space.
Thank you so much for being here, especially for coming in the rain. Someone we don't know. Your Democratic nominee. Tonight, we made history. My friends, we have done it.
Zohran Mandani. He is the latest sensation in American politics. His claim to fame is bagging a victory in the New York City mayoral primary, defeating his opponent Andrew Cuomo, a historic feat that can very well set him on the path to becoming New York's first Muslim mayor. But who is Mandani and what is his story? 33-year-old Mandani is a left-wing contestant from the Democratic Party who became a popular choice over much-favored Cuomo, who conceded after Mandani built a substantial lead over him. And it was a crushing defeat in every sense of the term. Mandani, who is younger and comes with much less experience compared to Cuomo, scripted history by clearing the prelims and getting 43.5% of the vote as against Cuomo's 36.4%, thanks to what Cuomo himself called a smart and great campaign. If elected, he will be the first Muslim and Indian American to lead the nation's largest city and perhaps also the youngest to do so.
Tonight, we made history. In the words of Nelson Mandela, it always seems impossible until it is done. My friends, we have done it. I will be your Democratic nominee for the mayor of New York City.
But that's really half the story. The other half is tied to his Indian lineage. Zohran Mandani happens to be the son of acclaimed Indian director Meera Nair and notable scholar Mahmood Mamdani. So what worked in his favor? Overall, an energetic campaign built around affordability and cost of living, an issue that concerns every other American citizen. Voters have also liked his right choice of words and striking charisma. Many saying that Zohran speaks the people's language and represents a New Yorker in the truest sense. Well, all eyes are now on the 4th November mayoral election in New York, and if Mandani, the man of the moment, can secure a permanent place for himself in American politics. In other news, is Chinese President Xi Jinping power and clout wavering? I ask this because in an unprecedented move, Xi will be skipping the BRICS summit in Brazil next month. It's the first time that he will be absent from the meet since taking power more than a decade ago. The 17th BRICS summit, which has been scheduled in Rio de Janeiro on July 6th and 7th, will not have Xi Jinping in attendance. And that's according to reports. China will instead be represented by Li Xiang. Officially, Beijing claims there is a scheduling conflict as to why Xi is not going for the summit. But reports indicate that there could be more to the story than what meets the eye. Xi has consistently attended every BRICS summit since coming to power. And so, naturally, his absence raises questions. After all, Beijing has held several high-level meetings with Brazilian President Lula da Silva this past year, including a state visit and G20 talks. But skipping this summit, where key geopolitical issues as well as new BRICS members will be discussed, sends a different kind of message. The timing is also interesting, not only for BRICS, but also for Xi's own image on the world stage. His absence could undercut China's growing ambitions within BRICS, especially after the bloc expanded last year, adding countries like Iran, Egypt, and the UAE. This summit is also expected to mark his first sit-down with Iranian leaders since the Israel-Gaza war started. Remember, the BRICS grouping has expanded effectively, doubling its membership from 5 to 11 countries now. UAE, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Iran, Ethiopia, and they have joined the summit, and now Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa are in the group as well, as it grows in both membership and in sway. The BRICS grouping has become a major political force, building on the goal of becoming the voice of countries not represented by Western or global institutions. The heads of the state of BRICS nations convene annually, with each country taking a one-year chairmanship to set priorities and host the summit. The theme in Brazil this year will be strengthening global South cooperation for more inclusive and sustainable governance. Our next story is from Russia. It's seeing a surprising tourist boom arrivals from Saudi Arabia. It has surged 570% in just 1 year. Over 52,000 in 2024 from around 9,000 in 2023, which actually means Arab tourists prefer visiting Russia more than the West. The big reason? It has to do with a streamlined e-visa system launched in August 2023, perhaps making it easier than ever for Saudis to travel without embassy visits or any kind of paperwork. According to Gulf News, direct flights from Riyadh and Jeddah are also helping funneling visitors straight into Russian cities like Moscow, St. Petersburg, and Sochi. In the first half of this year alone, nearly 10,000 Saudi tourists have already visited Russia. That's up 50% over the same period last year. A Russian tourism official says that Saudi travelers are a promising market for the summer season. As a result, younger travelers who want other options to traditional European spots are visiting Russia, drawn to its cooler weather, culture, and natural beauty. And they are spending big as well. Promotional efforts by Russian tourism agencies across Gulf travel expos have also increased. Russia has now granted more e-visas to Saudi citizens than any country except China. And tour operators are even creating Arabic language experiences, cultural tours, and curated experiences designed for the Saudi market. Since 2023, that's a year after the Ukraine war broke out, Russia has made efforts to market itself as an enticing destination for travelers from West Asia. Moscow has often described West Asia as a pivotal partner in its flourishing tourism sector, and so it has taken a dedicated approach to attract more tourists to strengthen local and global businesses. Earlier this year, in February, Moscow also expanded tourism opportunities for Kuwaiti visitors. And according to Gulf News, in the first 9 months of 2024, approximately 13,900 travelers from Kuwait visited Moscow, which is reportedly a 10-fold increase. That's compared to the same period in 2019. What's more, 98% of these arrivals were for tourism, which goes on to prove Moscow's growing appeal among the Kuwaiti visitors. Then in April, the Moscow City Tourism Committee announced that the Moscow Tea Time in Dubai initiative, bringing Russia's tea drinking heritage to the UAE for the very first time. Now, Russia's push to attract Gulf tourists comes at a time when it remains isolated from much of the West amid the Ukraine war, and that's due to sweeping economic sanctions imposed on Russia by West. As a result, we have seen Russia actively pivot east and south as well. And as of now, it's not just about tourism. It's a strategic move aimed at deepening its ties with countries in West Asia and build new economic as well as diplomatic bridges. So while Western visitors have largely stayed away, Gulf travelers are helping fill the gap, bringing with them not just footfall, but a new kind of political signal. In a sanctioned world, tourism too is now geopolitical. Tamil film actor Srikanth is caught in the eye of a storm. At the center of this controversy is his alleged connection to a drug scandal. On June 24th, the Greater Chennai Police, or the GCP, put out a tweet claiming that a massive anti-crime crackdown took place in India's southern city of Chennai, where a rupees 2 crore job scam, land grab and drug ring were busted. A total of 22 people have been arrested so far in connection with the case. This includes actor Srikanth, who has been remanded to judicial custody till the 7th of July. Police say that the investigation began after a former political functionary arrested for drug trafficking alleged that he supplied narcotic substances to the actor. The police further said that 11 grams of cocaine were seized. 5 people have also been held under the Tamil Nadu Gondas Act. The Chennai police also made it clear that using or trafficking drugs is a criminal offence, one that comes with serious legal implications. Srikanth had also been taken by the Chennai police for medical examination to detect the existence of narcotics in his bloodstream. The police is also probing the involvement of other actors in this alleged drug case. Now, Srikanth is a big name in the South Indian movie industry. He has amassed a great deal of popularity. He made his acting debut in 2002 with Roja Kuttam and has since featured in nearly 70 movies, including Shankar's Nanbans, the Tamil remake of the Bollywood blockbuster 3 Idiots. As investigation of his alleged connection to the drug case is now underway currently. If you're a crypto investor, chances are you're living at one of two extremes, either feeling incredibly free, financially independent and future ready, or deeply distressed by a market that swings wildly and a system still full of regulatory blocks. Over the past decade, Cryptocurrency has evolved from a niche idea into a $3 trillion market. What began as a decentralized experiment is now reshaping the global financial landscape. In a major step forward, the US Federal Reserve has given banks the green light to engage with crypto, ending the long-standing reputational risk rule that kept banks away from digital assets. And this shift aligns with the growing integration of crypto in traditional finance. Partnerships like the one between MasterCard and Chainlink are attracting consumers by making the technology more accessible and practical as well. An offering called MasterCard One Credential will enable customers to utilize both currency and stable coins through a unified interface. What this means is that one could use their credit card backed by crypto holdings and buy everyday items. Just about everything can be paid for using this feature on the card. For many investors, crypto has become their safe haven. A recent survey reveals that over 70% of investors use crypto as a hedge against inflation. And for many, crypto has taught them how the financial system works and gives them control in a chaotic economy. Another survey shows that over 60% of crypto users feel more financially hopeful than before. But this rapid rise also comes with shifts. New social circles, changing dynamics, and a constant pressure to protect your gains in a volatile market. The freedom that comes with crypto also comes with a price. The same market that builds fortunes can wipe them out in hours. For every crypto winner, there are others watching years of savings vanish in a single market crash. Not to forget the growing crypto thefts, wiping over $2 billion in 2024 alone. And that brings us to the bigger question. Can money, especially digital money, really bring any kind of happiness? In today's financial climate, where one bad day can erase your net worth, the answer is not simple. Wealth can offer choice, comfort, and opportunity, but happiness, that comes from balance. As crypto becomes more mainstream, the challenge remains to invest not just in coins, but also your peace of mind. The US House of Representatives has banned its staff from using WhatsApp on government devices. Now, this ban extends to all versions of the popular messaging app, including mobile, desktop, and even web. On Monday, a memo was sent to all House staff announcing the ban. The memo from the Chief Administrative Officer said that the Office of Cybersecurity has deemed WhatsApp a high risk to users. The memo mentions lack of transparency about WhatsApp's data privacy, absence of data encryption, and potential security risks as the reasons behind the ban. Staff members have been advised to switch to other messaging platforms such as Microsoft Teams, Amazon's Wicker, Apple's iMessage, FaceTime, and the controversial Signal app as well. The ban, however, raises pertinent questions, especially regarding the inclusion of Signal in the list of approved options, given its recent association with national security controversies. Now, in March this year, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and other top leaders of the Trump administration came under the spotlight when a journalist revealed that he was inadvertently added to a Signal group chat that shared important details and information of attacks on Yemen's Houthi group, all before the attack actually happened. Just 3 days after the Signal gate came to light, the Pentagon issued a warning against the messaging app, adding that Russian hackers were trying to break into Signal chats. So the question is, what led to the US government changing its stance on the Signal app? WhatsApp prides itself on its end-to-end encryption feature. Meta claims no one can read or decode messages and they remain strictly between the sender and the receiver. It is this feature that makes WhatsApp the preferred messaging platform for many across the globe. So, is the US House of Representatives saying that Signal and all the other recommended platforms are better and safer than WhatsApp? Meanwhile, Meta has slammed the ban. Andy Stone, Meta spokesperson, posted on X saying that they disagree with the House Chief Administrative Officer's mention of and rather condemned the strongest possible terms. The WhatsApp ban comes just months after Meta accused Israeli spyware firm Pentagon of targeting 90 users in more than 24 countries. Several governments in the past have raised questions regarding WhatsApp's data privacy practices and its handling of user information, and India is one of them. According to India's Information Technology Rules 2021, social media platforms are obligated to track conversations and identify the first originator of a message, if and when required by the government. WhatsApp's parent company Meta has challenged this very law, saying that it violates user privacy rights and undermines the company's end-to-end encryption feature. So while concerns over data privacy and security are clearly a global issue, the US House of Representatives' decision to ban WhatsApp raises a few questions. Number one, what are the actual security issues with WhatsApp? And how do the recommended options truly mitigate these exact risks, especially when one of them was recently at the heart of a public security incident? In an age where our smartphones are increasingly central to our lives in all aspects, a chilling new threat has emerged. I'm talking about the Godfather malware. It's a highly sophisticated new variant that's now targeting mobile banking apps. Discovered first in 2021, the Godfather malware has now gotten a more sinister makeover. The previous version of the malware employed an overlay tactic, displaying deceptive login pages for popular banking and cryptocurrency apps. The latest version, however, abandons the overlay method for something much more dangerous. Instead of just putting a fake screen over the app, it makes a virtual version of the app itself. For instance, the malware automatically scans the phone, looks out for a banking app, and targets it. The malware then makes a virtual twin of the banking app that opens whenever you try to use the real one. The phone user remains completely unaware of these malicious activities. While users see the app interface, the malware covertly watches and controls everything while you're watching the interface. It can steal passwords, pins, and even bank messages. Hackers can also remotely control the smartphone to send money or make transfers without the user's knowledge, even when the app is not actively in use. According to reports, the Godfather malware is already active in Turkey. However, just like the older version, it could easily spread to other countries. And there's a new scientific breakthrough bringing fresh hope to gay men who dream of becoming biological fathers. Until now, it's been biologically impossible for two men to have a child together without a female egg. But a group of Chinese scientists have created a healthy mouse offspring from two fathers without involving any mother at all. In a paper published in PNAS, a journal, the scientists report creating two healthy, fertile, biparental mice. The team from a Shanghai-based university used a technique called epigenetic editing. That's what it's called. Now, instead of changing the actual genes, they changed the chemical signals that control how genes work. And this allowed them to adjust sperm cells so that they could work together to create a life. And here's how they did it. Scientists first removed the DNA from a regular mouse egg. Then they added specially programmed proteins to that empty egg. These proteins targeted 7 key spots in the sperm's DNA that usually cause trouble when both parents are male. Once this editing was complete, 2 sperm cells were placed inside the egg. Out of 249 embryos created this way, 3 pups were born. 2 of them grew up healthy and later became fathers themselves. One fathered 9 babies, the other 6. And this proved for the first time that 2 male cells can create a fertile animal. If the DNA is carefully adjusted, the discovery shows what science might make possible in the future. For gay men hoping to become fathers, this new research offers a glimpse of what might one day actually be possible. What was supposed to be an adventure of a lifetime turned out to be a death trap for this Brazilian hiker. In a harrowing and heart-wrenching incident, the body of a 27-year-old Brazilian woman was recovered hundreds of meters from the ridge of a towering Indonesian volcano, where she was trapped for 4 long days, and this is as per the Brazilian government. The tourist named Giuliana Marins began climbing Mount Rinjani, an active volcano over 3,000 meters on the Indonesian island of Lombok on June 21st. Marines was accompanied by a guide and 5 other foreigners when she fell some 600 meters off the volcano. Confirming her death, the head of Indonesia's National Search and Rescue Agency said that no signs of life were found, as the rescue team claimed to find Marine's body beside a crater.
The victim was examined and no signs of life were found.
Every last-ditch effort was made to save Marines, including an intensive search operation and the use of thermal drones as well to locate her in rugged and unstable terrain. The adverse weather and limited visibility made it far more difficult for rescuers to trace and eventually evacuate her. Since the news of her fall, millions of people in Brazil had closely been watching and tracking this dramatic search and rescue efforts, as well as posted and even prayed for her.
At 7 p.m. local time, due to unfavorable weather with very limited visibility, it was decided to evacuate the victim on Wednesday morning at 06 a.m.
However, this is not the first time such an incident has been reported from Mount Rinjani. In 2022, a Portuguese hiker died after falling from a cliff near the summit. And just weeks before this accident involving Marines, a Malaysian climber lost his life on the same mountain. This also brings renewed focus to adventure tourism and its dangers. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos' to-be bride